Good morning. Today's class is on the Marxist perspective of health and illness. Okay, so it's a continuation of the theory of health and illness that we have been studying. You all know about Karl Marx. He was one of the people who was living, and he was one of the sociologists. So what he told was material production. All the companies that we see around us, BHEL and Reliance, they all produce things. Okay, so what he said was this material production is the most fundamental of all human activities. Whether it is production in the company, or what does a farmer do? He produces food for the people. So production is the most fundamental of all human activities. Everybody is involved in some sort of production. Okay, so basic things that a human being needs are food, shelter and clothing. Okay, food, shelter, cloth. So for these things we produce so many materials. We produce cotton for the food, we produce bricks for making a house, we produce food grains for food. So all this production is called as capitalist society. America is one of the biggest capitalist societies, next China, and like that all countries are involved in productions. One of the things that we produce now more is cell phones, TVs. So all these are production. So this, we live in an economy that is mainly based on production. So this was what Karl Marx was telling. So he told that all the human activities is based on the production. So he told that health and illness is also related to this production. So how is health and illness related to this production means? He told medical sociology deals with the social origin of disease, how the disease starts in a society. So health outcome is influenced by the economy. So whether you get well or whether you become more sick is dependent on the economy of the country. So according to Karl Marx, what he said was, at the level of production process itself, health is affected by the industrial diseases and injuries. In every industry there are diseases and injuries. In the healthcare sector, you are all health professionals. What is the diseases that can come? Even now, if you treat a patient with coronavirus, the risk is there that you will get coronavirus. Okay, similarly in industries there are certain diseases that can come. If you work with asbestos, you can get disease called asbestosis. If you work in leather industry, all that waste materials can cause respiratory diseases. So like that, every health problem is caused because of the production process. This is what Karl Marx told. So the environmental pollution and all these things can cause illness and diseases or injuries also. So he told this is the cause of disease. So the production process and the capitalist economy is the leading cause of disease in the world. The second thing he told was, once you produce things, you have to distribute those things. See, a farmer is having a field and he produces food grains, he produces vegetables. He cannot eat everything. He has to send it to different parts of the country and sell the product. So the next thing is distribution of the products that were created. So during the distribution process, there can be problems which lead to health and health problems which lead to diseases. So if you buy certain things like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, which is produced by a company, if you drink that Coca-Cola or Pepsi, you can get sugar problem, diabetes, or you can get obesity. So as per Karl Marx, one of the leading causes of disease and illness is production process. The second cause of illness is the distribution process. So these are the two things that he told, and these are all the factors that cause disease in a human being as per Karl Marx. This is called the Marxist perspective of health and illness. Okay, so we'll go to the next part, which is symbiotic interactionalism and the social construction of illness. What is symbolic interactionalism? Okay, what is a symbol mean? Symbol means something which is written or which you can see. For example, if an American comes to India and he sees Tamil words, for him it will be a symbol. It is not, he cannot understand what it is. It will only be a symbol. So this theory talks about symbols. Okay, and the next thing is social construction of illness. Social construction of illness basically means how the society creates a disease. Okay, or how the society thinks about a particular disease, and what are the perspectives of the society. So that is what we are going to study in symbolic interactionism and social construction of disease. There was a person called George Herbert Mead who first talked about symbolic interactionism, but his student Herbert Blumer was the person who actually first told the word symbolic interactionism, and he made some guidelines for symbolic interactionism. Okay, the word may sound a little difficult for you to understand, but it's just a word. I'll explain what it means now. What he is telling is there is an interaction between patient and the doctor. There is an interaction between the doctors themselves, and there is an interaction between patient and other healthcare workers. So all this interaction is very important in how society thinks of a disease. For example, we'll take the example of coronavirus, which is easy because you all know about coronavirus. It's creating a lot of problems in our society. So what do you know about coronavirus? You know a lot of things: how it spreads, how it affects a person, what are the complications, all this you know. How did you know about it? You know about it because some doctor who first treated the patient with coronavirus, he told about the signs and symptoms. Then other people came to know of the signs and symptoms. Like this, the society's perception of a disease spreads. First, the healthcare worker or the doctor or the nurse or the physiotherapist or a medical sociologist, you will learn about a particular disease, and then you talk about this disease to the general public. Then they understand certain things about the disease. It may be right, it may be wrong. Then they go and tell other people about that disease. So this is how this symbolic interactionism of a disease spreads in the community. Okay, so let's see what this symbolic interactionism perspective of health and illness is. Okay, this is mainly based on previous experience. So if last year did anybody talk about coronavirus? Nobody in the world talked about coronavirus. I mean, last year in the sense early part of January to May 2019, nobody talked about coronavirus because there was no coronavirus in this world. How did people start talking about this disease? Only when the first case or patient was identified. So once the first patient was identified, then the doctor understood the signs and symptoms of the disease. Then he communicated to his colleagues, the other doctors who are working with them. Then from them it spread to the community, it spread to the government, it went to the WHO, and then the whole world knows about coronavirus. Okay, so this is how communication about a particular disease spreads. It is all based on previous experience. Okay, without a disease like coronavirus being present in the world, nobody will know anything about it. So once one person experiences the disease, then he tells other people, they have something about the disease in their mind. When they see a patient, then they also experience the disease. Same way, a person who is suffering from that disease, he actually undergoes the signs and symptoms, so he can tell other people about what he went through. So this is how the symbol of the disease spreads through interaction between people. I'll give you another example. A child, you all know children, they are very curious, they'll go and touch various things. If you tell the child not to touch a fire, the child will not understand. It will go and touch, it will go try to touch the fire, then it will understand that there is heat coming from the fire. So the next time you need not tell the child not to touch the fire, the child itself will know that fire means it will be hot, it will be painful. So previous experience of a disease or illness changes the behavior and understanding of the child. Same way, in the health example, we see a person who has cough will be told to undergo coronavirus test. If the person understands about the disease and its seriousness through learning about the disease through the media or through other people who have undergone it, then the person will undergo the test. If not, the person will ignore the advice of health workers. What will happen if he ignores the health workers advice? He will suffer from serious consequences and even death. Okay, so for any disease we need to have previous experience or at least previous thoughts about the disease. If a child is hearing about cancer, will the child understand the seriousness of the disease? No, the child does not know about anything about cancer. But at the same time, if you or me, if we are told that a patient is suffering from cancer, then we know that it is a serious condition. Why? Because we have previous experience of other people who have suffered from cancer. Some of them have got well, some of them have got serious, some of them have even died. So this is what symbolic interactionalism is all about. Previous experience of a particular disease changes the behavior. How does this previous experience spread to the community? Through communication or interaction. Okay, so this is what symbolic interactionism theory is all about. Okay, so the other aspects of this theory is that the reaction of people changes when they hear about a disease. For example, coronavirus, first when a person had coronavirus, there was no stigma attached to coronavirus. But when it started spreading in the society, everybody realized that if you touch a person with coronavirus, you will also get it, or if you go near a person with coronavirus, you will also get it. So slowly the stigma started. Now the stigma is very much high, similar to leprosy, mental disorders and other diseases. Okay, so this is how one experience creates new symptoms, new ideas and behavior changes in other people. Okay, right. So another aspect of the symbolic interactionism theory is, we'll give the same coronavirus example. A patient who is suffering from cold and throat pain may be diagnosed as a coronavirus affected person. If the patient does not believe the doctor, it leads to poor doctor-patient relationship, because the next time the patient goes to the doctor will not treat the patient properly because the patient did not believe the doctor. So the patient has to first understand this disease, its signs and symptoms, and who has to explain the signs and symptoms to the disease of the disease to the patient? The doctor has to explain, or the nurse has to explain, or a medical sociologist has to explain about the signs and symptoms of the disease to the patients, so that the patient understands about the disease and then undergoes treatment for the disease. Okay, so now we'll read one more line about what symbolic interactionism theory is all about. It is a theory that focuses on meanings attached to human interaction, both verbal and non-verbal, and to symbols. Okay, so when we talk, when we use words, or when we show signs using our hands or our body, or use symbols, written words. These are methods of communication or interaction. Okay, you can communicate or interact with other people using your words, that is verbal communication, using your hands by making symbols, by making signs using your hands, that is non-verbal communication, or through written words, that is symbols. So when you use this interaction, there is communication, there is exchange of meaning from one person to another person, and this is how people learn more about a particular disease. So this is symbolic interactionalist theory. Then there is one more important idea which is part of this theory, that is called looking glass self. Exam point of view, this is one of the questions, looking glass self, which you need to know about. So what is looking glass self? Looking glass self is nothing but looking in a mirror. What do you see when you stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself? You see your body. Okay, you see yourself, you see your face, you see your hand, you see your legs. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you think? Some of you may think, my hair is not proper. You may look at yourself and say, I have got pimples on my face. Some of you may look at yourself and say, I am not tall. Some of you may think, I am very tall. Some of you may think you are very beautiful. Some of you may think that you are not beautiful. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, a lot of thoughts come to your mind. Okay, and we also realize what we see in the mirror of our own body is what other people see about us. So if you want to go to an interview, you look at the mirror and make your hair properly, you dress properly, you make sure that you take off your beard, and then you look at the mirror, because the person who is going to interview is going to see you like that. Okay, hope you understood this concept. So how other people react to us is the way they look at us. Okay, and we interpret that reaction. Suppose you see a person who has got leprosy, who's got a lot of maggots in his hands and legs. How do you react? Do you react positively or negatively? So if you react positively, that patient will feel okay. He'll also feel accepted. But if you immediately on seeing the patient, if you turn your face, that is a negative reaction. So the patient will also feel that you are not positive. You are having negative thoughts about the patient. So this is how our reaction is based on how we look at other people. Then we also develop a sense of our own self based on those interpretations. We create ideas based on how we look at other people, how we look at ourselves in a mirror. So this is called looking glass self. That means we decide who we are, what we are worth, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, based on what we look at ourselves. And if we think that we have a lot of strengths, we will have confidence, we will talk with confidence, then other people will also think that you are strong, you have a lot of abilities. But if you are shy, if you think that you don't know anything, then you will talk in a way that as if you don't know anything. Then other people will also believe that you don't know anything. So looking glass is a concept of looking into a mirror. How you see yourself, that is the way you will interact with others. If you see yourself as a positive person with positive energy, then you will behave with positive energy to other people. They will also look at you as having positive energy. Okay, so the interaction between you and other people is based on how you look at yourself, like you're looking at yourself in a mirror. Okay, hope you understood this concept. Let's see how a medical sociologist applies this symbolic interactionism in patients. Okay, so as a medical sociologist, in patients you have to look at patterns of interaction. How do they interact with you? Do they interact well? Or once the disease is diagnosed, for example, if a doctor diagnoses a patient with leprosy, how does the patient behave? Is the patient aggressive? Is the patient happy or normal? Nobody will be happy on being diagnosed with a disease, but at least is the patient normal? Or is the patient feeling very sad, very depressed? Okay, so you have to, the patient will know what he feels in his heart. You have to look at the patient and understand, like how a mirror reflects. That way you have to understand what the patient goes through in his heart and mind, and you have to support the patient with your words and actions. Okay, at the time of diagnosis, a patient may be very sad, depressed, so you have to overcome the patient's depression with your words and actions. This is symbolic interactionism perspective. Okay, this can also be used in research by doing in-depth interview or participant observation. Okay, so this is the way in which you do research in symbolic interactionism, and you also know as a medical sociologist what is the role you have for patients who are diagnosed with diseases, and how you have to using this theory, how you can look at them and using their actions, behavior, how you can overcome their problems using your own words and actions. So that is symbolic interactionism. There were some criticisms of this disease. What were the criticisms of this disease? The first criticism is that it is very difficult to be objective, because it is all based on the words, actions, behavior of a person. So there is nothing objective. If you want to see a person's reaction to coronavirus, you can check the temperature of the person. If it is high temperature, you know the person is having coronavirus. If the person is coughing, you can suspect coronavirus. But based on the behavior of the person, can you identify coronavirus, and can you identify what is going on in their heart? That is difficult. So it is very difficult to remain objective using this theory. And other people criticize this theory because it is having a very narrow focus. Okay, but what people who propagate this theory say is that the strength of this theory is in the research methods of observation, looking at a person, how you can identify what they are going through. Okay, and the other criticism of this theory is that the social institutions, hospitals, religious institutions, and community, and the role of all this are very limited in this theory. It is only the individual's behavior and action which is taken into consideration. So social institutions are not involved in this theory, and that is another criticism. Okay, so this is about symbolic interactionism theory. So next we come to the next topic, which is social construction of illness. Okay, this is a very important topic. A part of it you would have studied in the second year in what is called as medicalization. Okay, in medicalization, the society constructs a disease. For example, if one person is an alcoholic, he drinks a lot. 100 years back, people who used to drink, was it a disease? Were they called alcoholics? No, it was a social activity of an individual. Drinking was a social activity. But slowly over the last few years, what has happened? The society has constructed that when a person drinks, it causes certain diseases. So that means drinking can lead to illness or disease. So drinking is a problem. That was the first thought. And then after a few years, drinking itself was thought to be a disease. So this is how society constructs or builds a social issue or an individual's behavior into a disease, even mental problems, it is what is happening in the mind of the person. Initially, it was thought to be an individual's problem. Slowly, the medical people created or constructed the fact that a person who does not behave normally in society has mental illnesses, and then medical treatment was given for that person. So this is how the society constructs disease and illness, and that is what the social construction of illness theory talks about. Okay, so we'll understand what it all means in simple words. If a person suffers from a disease, this theory tells that people's understanding of the disease is based on knowledge already available, which has been created with previous experience. Okay, for example, we do not know anything about coronavirus. There is no social construction for the disease because society does not know anything much about coronavirus. It's a new disease. Now only we are building or constructing more and more evidence about the disease, how it affects, what are the consequences of the disease. So any disease and its consequences, signs and symptoms is based on previous experience, and the society constructs or builds more facts or information about the disease. With a new disease like coronavirus, there is no social construction. Now only the social construction is happening. And as part of the social construction regarding coronavirus, one of the negative things that has happened is a lot of stigma has been created. But what are the positive things about the social construction of coronavirus? People are more careful. People are distancing themselves socially. So those are the positive effects of of social construction of a disease. There are some negative social aspects about social construction of this disease also. So let's just move on to the next topic, social construction of the illness experience. How does a person experience illness is also based on the social construction. For example, what you feel when you get a disease. If you have a deformity with leprosy, how do people look at you? Do they look at you as a normal person? No, they will not look at you as a normal person. When I have a claw in my hand or when I have a wound in my leg because of leprosy, how do people on the bus react? They look at me as if I am suffering from a very bad disease. Some of them will not come and sit close to me, they will go and sit in a different place. So, all this is because of previous experience that people have with leprosy affected people. So the society has already constructed or built some information about a particular disease, and the behavior of people changes based on how they think about the disease. Okay, so what are the factors that play a role in this illness experience? Culture plays a very major role. So in a particular culture, for example, some diseases are not taken seriously. For example, in Western culture, a heart attack is taken very seriously. In some cultures, heart attack is considered to be, they don't know about heart attack, they only think it is a chest pain which is caused by stress. But it is slowly changing, and more people are taking heart attack seriously. Previously, some people used to think chest pain means it is caused due to acidity, burning sensation in the chest. Even now there are a lot of people who tell that they initially thought chest pain was because of burning sensation because they ate a lot of masala foods. Okay, then finally when they go to the hospital, they realize the seriousness of the disease. This is because of experience and in the culture that eating a lot of masala means you will get heartburn. So people mistake heartburn, and they do not take proper care for heart attack when it actually occurs. Similarly, diseases like AIDS, breast cancer, all these have cultural aspects about the disease. Okay, how people view a person with AIDS, they think that they have bad behavior, That is why they got AIDS. And that is how the society constructs or builds information about disease, and that information spreads to everybody. Okay, finally we'll come to social construction of medical knowledge. So how is a doctor or a health professional, what do they think about this social construction? For example, there are a lot of inequalities in health based on the gender, whether you are a male or female, whether you are high class or low class, whether you are a particular race or a particular ethnicity. Based on that, treatment varies in medical institutions. In previous generations, in the 19th century also, pregnant women were discouraged from driving, dancing, walking. They were told to take rest. But today, these days, pregnant women are told to do a lot of walking, their normal activity till the day the child is born. Okay, why did this change happen? This change happened because of the change in the medical knowledge. So knowledge, increase in medical knowledge changes the social construction regarding a disease or a illness. Did you understand? So when there is increased knowledge in the medical field, the knowledge is used to change the society, change the social construction, or the change the social ideas about a particular disease. I'll give you another example to understand better. In coronavirus, 2 months back we did not know much about coronavirus. There was a lot of stigma, but now we know that all of us are at risk of getting coronavirus, and the disease will be in this world for many years. So what is the change that has happened in the society? You know that a doctor was not allowed to be buried in Chennai because he died of coronavirus. But now people understand that a lot of people near their house where they get vegetables, they all have coronavirus. So people have started understanding about the disease, and their outlook about the disease has changed. So improvement or increase in medical knowledge changes the social construction or social information about a disease. Okay, the final topic for the day is the relationship between symbolic interaction and social construction. So that we have already gone through each of that. Symbolic interactionism is the behavior of a person, how a person behaves based on the disease, or how they think of the disease. So it's like the looking glass, you look at yourself in the glass. So similarly, you have certain ideas about the disease, and based on interaction between different people, the ideas about the disease are built. But in social construction, it is a society which builds information about the disease based on previous experience and previous knowledge about the disease. So this is the difference between symbolic interactionism and social construction of a disease. Thank you.